Hello, and welcome back to our second edition of Katie Walker Unfiltered. And today we're going to be talking about the time when Katie had to close 9 clinics. Well, not close, but I guess transfer online. Is that right? Am I saying that right? Transition online? Restructure. That's a good way of putting it. Online, 9 clinics overnight, basically, in 2022. And that was a pretty hard time. I think that you're still feeling some pretty hard aftermath from that today from some people, because on the forefront, I guess exteriorly, people think that, you did that and just went on about your way. It didn't impact you at all. And, la-di-da. And that's not the way that went at all, is it? So let's talk about that. Let's unpack that today and clear the air on what really went down. And Jillian, of course, I refer to Jillian as one of the loyalists of Revitalist. she was along for that ride as well. So we're gonna talk about that.
Yeah, no, that was a crazy mess. And yeah, there's still, people attacking me from all over the place from that piece too. But so basically, and this is, in press releases and things like that, so we can talk about it. But the original investors who came in wanted me to open up 52 clinics in 2 years. So, in order to open up 52 clinics, do what?
That seems aggressive.
It does seem aggressive, doesn't it? Until you're told you're not moving fast enough. But yeah, so they wanted me to open up 52 clinics in 2 years. And so, when you have a mission like that, like, can I execute that? Absolutely. Can I execute that while I'm also babysitting other people at the same time? No. I mean, now I see that no, it's completely undoable, because I can be responsible for myself and my own actions. But when you have to put responsibilities over on other people who you've not really kind of been in the grind with to really truly trust, that's where I messed up. So we ended up opening up 7 clinics in 7 months for that. And, we were growing. I mean, it was amazing. We had all this stuff growing. And it kind of started, I guess, in early 2022. And Jillian, I don't even know if you know this, but gosh, there's been a lot of battles I've had that I've not talked about to a lot of people. But we just opened up a clinic in early 2022, and the investors at that time demanded that I cut out therapy at all the clinics. And I went completely against that. And I said, no, you break the whole model. You absolutely can't do that.
Tell us why.
Why not?
No, why they wanted you to cut that out.
Because the therapists were the most expensive and they were bringing in the least amount of revenue.
So it was all about money, down to the dollar. Okay.
Yeah. So they wanted us to lay off all the therapists. So I fought for all. This was in May of 2022. So I said absolutely not. And this would be me against 5 people in one room, and I would get very direct with these people who were trying to tell me how to do what needed to be done through their eyes, because at that time, I cut all the therapists, but then, the people that wwere helping to run the public company were making huge paychecks that I didn't have access to at that time. And I did later on. I figured it out. But, it was really off balance and really disheartening, which to this day I've corrected, but nobody knew that piece. So anyway, early May was when I started noticing weirdness. Everything was growing, but then the people came in and said, cut all the therapy out, start closing the clinics, because you're not making enough money. And I was like, these clinics have been open 30 days, and they are growing. They're growing 300% month over month, right? Which is, when I look back and they told me I wasn't moving fast enough, I was like, okay, rate of growth 300% month over month. Is that fast? Is that slow? Because I'm completely ignorant. And it was average growth rate of aggressive is 8%, not 300, right? So
these are investors. Investors wanted you to close the clinic after 30 days.
That's right. It wasn't making as much money as they wanted it to make within 30 days. And this was part of the, now let's, this overall piece, right, where we're talking about, and a lot of people don't know all of this stuff, but Revitalist is a public company. Revitalist only raised initially like $2 million before we went public, right? We're putting Revitalist on the same level as a lot of these other companies that were out there that raised almost $200 million, right? And they all went bankrupt for the most part. I mean, you've got, like Field Trip, was one of the biggest ones that raised a lot of money. But, my quote unquote competitors, that were out there were Field Trip and Numinous and Ketamine One and Daniel's company. There's a few others that were out there, and everybody had the best intentions, but, a heart-led mission and people coming in from a business aspect don't always merge very, very well. And that's what I'm learning is like, I always want to be heart-led, but I'm also not going to put up with crap around it. And we're going to make sure that this mission stays heart-led. So anyway, May was when I started like feeling that something was not right. But I've been so focused on opening these clinics. And Jillian probably remembers when I used to do 6 a.m. meetings every day.
I do.
I think I did 6 a.m. meetings, Angela, every day for the team.
Oh,
And sometimes maybe I did 5 a.m. too. I don't know if I did 5 a.m.
I think there was a few that I was sprinkled in, but I was on the Friday 6 a.m. rotation. I was on that group.
poor Jillian. She's such a trooper.
So I was on a call and I would update the entire team. We'd have like 30, 40 people on the call at 6 a.m. And I was so focused on like optimizing these clinics, right? On exactly what I should have been focused on, optimizing the clinics, making sure their numbers are looking good, making sure everybody's safe, making sure that we're pushing forward the right way that needs to be done. And lo and behold, with the public company, they were very trying to segregate a lot of different things, even though I'm the CEO of that too. But in May, like I was like, something's not right. It doesn't feel right. I need to go focus. And while I was still in the public company, I was really relying. This is how I've been screwed both ways. I really relied on people who told me to trust them. Oh, I quit.
He's got something to say.
Clearly. Yeah, give me the speakers.
He's like, I was part of this.
He wanted
I need to
like,
wait.
Don't tell him about it, Mom. But anyway, so in May, I was like, okay. So this time I met with my team and I was like, guys, something's going on. I can't identify what it is. I need to get in the weeds with this and figure it out. So I started getting in the weeds with the public company, really like being pretty assertive. People won't give you a lot of information until you're pretty direct and assertive. And that's how, I ended up getting a lot of money, or not money. That's how I went to get more details about the money and started looking into all those different pieces. So that started in May when I said, okay, I've got to shift from the private to go focus on the public because we've got to make a lot of changes. And it took me from May until August, right, to get all the people who I didn't want associated with this company out. And that was a heck of that was 6 figures of lawyer fees, certain investigators trying to get everybody in to get everything out. So I got that done in August. And then, it's like cleared that slate. Well, then you come back in to the public side and, people are always like, Katie, they need you. Katie, they need you to tell you more information. Katie, they need you to educate them more. Katie, they don't feel comfortable with this. Katie, they need you to do this. And I was like, I've got to focus on this public side. So I got that done, came back down to the private side. And at that time, I did. And Jillian knows this. I had 2 men, a female, that were kind of running things. One who was acting as a COO. The other one who was like a baby who he wanted to be the COO, and then the VP of finance. And those were running the private sector of it. So, they would make decisions. I would trust their decisions. They would update me based on their verbiage. Really, I should have been more specific. Hindsight's 2020. But, there's ethics, right? And it's ethics of being a person. So ethics of being a person means if you're salaried Monday through Friday, and you're at a clinic and you're being paid full time to be at that clinic Monday through Friday, you cannot work another job somewhere else and expect to double dip or triple dip. And
They used to call that moonlighting.
Moonlighting. Well, in the medical world, yeah, they moonlight, but it's legal. This is illegal if you are supposed to be working on a Tuesday at your clinic, but you're working in the hospital the same day.
While you're supposed to be at the clinic.
That's right.
Okay. Yeah.
Yep.
See.
And this was, to where there was, officials who knew this, like within the company. They knew all this was happening, but they thought they were underpaid, so they would still pay them anyway, kind of stuff. And then they were begging, like for me to get they need a raise. They need a raise. I mean, Angela, it was a freaking mess. So anyway,
Wow.
Everybody kept on saying, we need more money, we need more money, we need more money. I mean, that time my payroll was, I think, $260,000 every 2 weeks.
Holy man.
So I took out $1,000 from my own personal, loaned it to the company to pay that payroll. Well, lo and behold, a lot of that payroll goes to people's vacation time, like half of it, right?
Huh.
So, we ended up, we missed a payroll. There was no more money. There was no more money. There was nobody putting names on documents for this company except me. I had drained all my personal my resources. My mom died. She left me quite a bit of money. I put all my mom's money into this company as well. I even had a previous employee. So my mom ended up getting like Lewy body dementia from her Parkinson's, and she was exhausting, absolutely exhausting. She's only 70 years old, but she was exhausting. And and the one CRNA that actually attacks me today, she came to her funeral, and she was like, "Aren't you just glad that she's gone?" And to have that audacity to like say that stuff and then to come back. I mean, it shows people are mentally ill, and that make a big stink sometimes. But you just don't say anything like that to people. I mean,
Well, it's incredibly insensitive and just it's a terrible thing to say to anybody.
She said that at the funeral?
Yeah. Like she was like laughing about it. It was like she was kind of making fun of because my family is super country from the rural East Tennessee, right?
Matter. Yeah.
But just making fun of the minister who was there. I'm like, it was a show, right? It was and who knows why all that stuff happens. Great, they showed up, to support me. I don't think that's necessarily support though when you do stuff like that. Oh, but you know what?
No, it's hurtful.
Their own. Yeah. Well, so anyway, I ended up putting about $600,000 into the company the 2 months before we missed a payroll. And I didn't know that the clinics pretty much stopped working, but they stopped working at the request of the COO. And he told them to go ahead and stop working, go ahead and transition back, to the hospitals. I had no idea about any of this. Zero clue. And they were still getting paid full time, even though the clinics were not open. So, when I say like there's ethics as a human, my God, these people are therapists. These people are providers. These people are ethically. Jillian knows we were so ethically hammered into, like, you feel like you're going to go to hell if you don't do these ethical things because it's what you have to do in order to protect these people. And all the staff who I thought had great hearts, like, I'm glad they're gone because they don't need to be in this space anyway. Should I continue?
That was a rough time. I mean, one of the biggest, and I've told you this, Katie, like everybody lost at that time, all the staff, you and our patients, our patients lost a place to go to. So I know from my experience when everybody left, I mean, we still had clients on the schedule to be seen. So we had a handful of providers that stuck around. It was the psychologist in Louisville and myself. We were the only therapists for the whole company. And we saw the clients as many as we could. I mean, there were days I'd see 12 people, work pretty late into the evening. That was a rough time for a lot of, because not only dealing with the disgruntled staff and just, that time of year, I made it a priority to make sure the clients had somewhere to go or care was being transitioned. And I remember the days of the guy that was working with us at that time, I mean, sending out over 6,000 care letters, to clinics across, like all of the clinics. Spending time to identify providers, to refer them out. That, I remember being so frustrated doing that because it didn't have to be that hard for just 2 people to do that. Or 3, really. There were 3 of us doing that. When the other, you have a responsibility to not abandon your client.
Right. You do. You have a responsibility not to abandon them. And again, they're like, well, if I don't get paid, and the goal, did we miss a payroll? We did. The goal was that we would work on getting everyone paid, and everyone who has came to us to try to get them paid when they were actually working. Angela, we've had people try to get paid and they weren't working.
No, I believe that. Trust. I understand. I believe that. I've owned companies. I get it. I understand that. And I understand how people are. I understand how good people are and loyal employees. who will rally behind you no matter what, and those who are just in it for the paycheck and will abandon you the first chance that
People
they get.
don't, but here's the thing. Everybody who joined this company didn't know they were in it for the paycheck. The ones who stopped that day and abandoned those patients, one, they should lose their license, or they should have their license should be
100%
reprimanded.
agree.
But two, they weren't in it for the right reason anyway. And to this date, they may not even know that, but they weren't. And mine, I mean, I've shifted. I mean, we talked about how much money I'm making now as compared to what I could be making, at the hospital. And, yeah, I mean, it was great, being an anesthesia provider. I could go back today and make, over $600,000 a year. That's not my mission. Like, life's invaluable.
I think for all of us. Yeah, all of us. I mean, I think all of us right now could be somewhere else in life making a lot more money. And I mean, you for sure. I know me. I know Jillian. I think all of us could be doing something else in life, making a lot more money, doing something else. But we're here for a reason. I mean, I know I'm here because I feel like I'm supposed to be here. I'm drawn here. I know I'm supposed to be here. You're here for that same reason. I mean, what you make in a week, you could make in half a day. I mean, it's just crazy. So, and then Jillian, I know, I mean, same with you. What you take on in a day is insane. Like, this company, I dare to say better than anybody else, gosh, in the company, including Katie. And I do love you, Katie. But she knows everything about this company inside and out. Like, she is the backbone of our company right now.
Jillian's the first unannounced COO we've really had in this company.
Absolutely.
Because she's not delegated things, like she knows it. And she's
100%.
She's walked in the fire, and she continues to walk in the fire to lead it in a direction where it needs to go.
100%.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
I mean,
try.
It's
like,
been through it all.
She has embraced every single aspect of this company, and she knows it inside and out. So we're all here not for the money, for sure. It's definitely heart-led, mission-led, and it's the people that come here for the wrong reasons. It's disappointing.
It is. It is disappointing. Yeah.
And it's one thing, if somebody wants to quit, right? That's one thing. Like, people leave jobs all the time. People change their passions or interests or whatever, or people move or whatever it may be. I think one of the biggest thing, a big teachable moment for me was to see how poorly people left, that the lack of professionalism of properly offboarding a job. Like, it's okay to quit something, right? But do it in a way where you left the place better than you found it, or you at least tried, or you at least left your passwords and credentials to accounts that only you were on and nobody else. Just very simple, basic things like that were not done. And it made our rebound after that event really challenging, because we played detective for many months. We still at times are playing detective of just finding things from the lack of offboarding that, and these were people that claimed to have ran many successful businesses and had very high ranks in different organizations. And so that was a huge teachable moment for me of like, wow, it really doesn't matter how much experience you've had or titles you maybe have carried in your life. If you don't have the professionalism, it hurts. It hurts. I mean, that really hurt the company.
You know what I think? And Angela, you can probably speak to this better than I can. The difference is a founding company. That's the difference. People kept speaking to me like I was corporate. I'm not corporate. We're the end of the road, period. It's not like there's billions of dollars behind this. We're trying to create something better for the future. And, those people like the one CRNA who's just all over the place. I mean, everybody needs help. But, was like, he's saying like, no, like, you don't give money. Why are you giving money? They need to give you money. Who is they, right? Who are these magical, wondrous people that you're speaking of? Because they don't exist. And it's the same way when Jillian's like, they would just walk away. They would treat you like corporate, but then they would walk away like, there's no repercussion. I'll just walk away, abandon these patients. Like, it's just like it's a fun project. So all these people who are like, I ran a successful anesthesia business for 30 years. You know what I should have been like? Did you found that company? Because if you were a founder of that company, that's what I need. That's what I needed.
Yeah.
You know,
When you
because
need people to support you, when you need people to rally around you, when you need people to feel and have the same heart for the mission that you have, that's when you really understand business.
Angela, there was a time when one of the clinics was open in one of the other states, and I had a guy email me. 2 men that we employed were there during their operating hours. He came in for a scheduled infusion that was on the calendar, and they went to him. This is like a month before. It's like in November, I guess. And they went to him and said, "Oh, sorry, we're not doing infusions today." And he was so angry. He was like, they were in the room, they were in the building. They answered me. I showed them my schedule, and they had said, "Sorry, we're not doing infusions." And one of them was a provider. You know, I mean, like, you want to talk about like crooked and corrupt and all this stuff. Like, it's sad. And again, this is why it's like we keep pushing forward, because there are good people out there. There are people out there who want to do the right thing, who understand that, you know, money is not your number one identifier. But, you know, people are like, with CRNAs especially, they're like, "Hey, I want to help. I want to help build your company." I'm like, we can't pay you all $300 an hour. Okay, well, I'm not going to come work then.
Right.
Okay,
Right.
then don't. I don't want you here.
Right. And sure. So inflation right now is terrible, blah, blah, blah. I mean, we've heard it all. But okay, so let's talk about, what that meant for you, your family. I mean, people think you did this, you just went on with your happy life, things are great, you have millions in the bank, you have yachts, you have all these things. None of those things are true, of course. But what was it like for you on the other side of that phone call, on the other side of those things, those
People
uncomfortable
threatening me,
phone calls?
telling me,
Yeah, well, I mean, people are just thinking that you have all this money in the bank and you're just heartlessly having to make these tough phone calls. But the reality of what happened on the other side is what? What really happened on the other side of the phone call? What was it like for you?
well, so we go back, right? Because 2022 is when I had to shift from public to private to public, trying to focus on getting the weeds up.
Sure.
And it takes a lot of focus, right, to do all
I
that.
mean, you needed money.
Well, yeah, I needed money too, yeah. But you know, so July of 2022 was the straw that broke the camel's back from the investment standpoint, to where one of my biggest supporters, who was not in it for the right reason, you know, that's when he said, you know, he controlled me and he was going to let my company go bankrupt, and then he would buy it at pennies on the dollar. And, you know, you just don't say that to people, you know. So actually I was there, I've got, you know, and of course, like I told you, like, I've got all this recorded, Angela. I have all these conversations, you know, recorded, because in the state of Tennessee, you can completely do this.
I know you do.
So, you know, so he told me that lit a fire, you know, kind of under me. And I was like, I'm not destroying my model just so people can make money. And that's what they wanted. You know, that's what they wanted at that time. So anyway, that happened in July.
Well, the truth is, though, let's just interject this. They do not care about people's mental health.
No, they'll tell you they do. You know, I think, didn't I say this last time? You know, when they're like adolescents, I like to use adolescents as an example, to where it's like, with adolescents, like, we can't let our children die. And then it flips real quick to, well, our kids die, you know? And that happens, you know, all the time. So that was in July, was when, you know, I had that big fight. And then in August, my mom died. September was when my husband was like, you know, he wanted me to walk away from the company, which I couldn't do. October was a veteran retreat with the veteran that keeps attacking me over, you know, falsified documents. December was when we missed payroll. So, that was I was pretty low then. It sucked. It just sucked. My mom, you know, for birthdays, mom would always, like, every day, right? When it was your birthday, everything stopped. You get like 30 gifts. Everybody goes out to dinner. Like, everything stops on your birthday, to where it's just ridiculous. Like, Mom, stop. Really, I don't need 30 gifts on, you know, it'd be like Christmas time. You know, so that it went from Christmas time to, on my birthday, like, nothing, right? I went and bought my own cake. I didn't get a present. And my daughter and I, you know, sang myself happy birthday that day. And yeah, you can tell. I mean, I posted a picture of my birthday cake that day. I think I was 38 or 39. And now when I go buy myself my own birthday cake, I just suck it up. Whatever, it's a cake. There's probably a lot
And
of
how
people
old
who
will
do
you
that.
be tomorrow?
41, and I'm still here. It was 39 then. So anyway, I did that. Felt pretty bad. I felt sorry for myself on my birthday that year. And you know what? And to this day, my birthdays are pretty hard because I'm still
sure.
transitioning with all that. But did that, would cry in the shower a lot, like it was rock bottom, like I don't know what else to do,
You're human, Katie. Isn't she, Jillian?
Yeah.
You tell her. She is. You're human. I cry in the shower.
I
feel
cry
in the shower.
One thing
I was talking to Miles' wife the other day. She cries in the shower. That's when women cry. Strong women, we cry in the shower because we
I
don't
love
want
a
people
good
to see
shower
us
cry.
cry. We don't want people to see. We hide it from our children. We hide it from our husbands. We don't want people to see us cry.
Shower cries are great. They're therapeutic. It's like a cleanse in so many ways.
But it's what? We hold it in and then we just let it out with all that other water. Like, just wash it down the drain and just go away. Like, shit, it's done.
I think though, the big thing with that, is one thing I was thinking about the other day after our podcast is I thought about, my mom taught me that nobody cares and my dad taught me that everybody should. And it's true.
That's such a great balance.
But, she did. And Angela, I truly believe that no one cares. Unless they're in it and they feel it. Right. But unless they're in it and they feel it, they don't care. So people don't have mental health around them right now. They're like, we don't want them around us anyway, do we? And it's like, no, all y'all got mental health issues, you idiots. But anyway, so, yeah.
Hold on a second. Jillian, how do you feel about that? I'd like the therapist to weigh in.
I just think there's a big difference between empathy and sympathy. Like, we see a lot of people giving sympathy where it's like easy to feel sorry for something, but empathy is truly understanding what somebody might be going through. Sympathy is like looking at their shoes going, oh God, those shoes look tough to walk in. Empathy is, let me put them on. Let me figure out what this is like. Let me, and that's how I interpret what Katie's saying. There's a lot of people that don't really.
They'll say they do, but there's so many who just walk by.
Sure.
And that's why, when I don't complain, tip or tap, like if the person who missed her payroll and wanted her six weeks of PTO. And I was like, do you have, and I think I told her this, Angela, did you know that I took the money that my mom left me and I put that to cover your payroll? Why are you doing that? That was a conversation. Why are you doing that? They need to do that. And I'm like, did you hear anything I just said? Anything.
Yeah.
Like, my mom, who works so hard, just help pay your $200,000 salary. So you can help me a little longer and take care of people. And Angela, the other thing too that people started doing, providers, they started giving away infusions for free to people without telling the company.
I mean, first of all, that's illegal. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, this is a controlled substance.
Mm-hmm.
They're just giving this away.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of reports that, I did talk to the right bodies about all of this, and they asked me if I wanted to press charges. And I said, no, I don't think they did it intentionally. But, should those people be out practicing? I don't know. Not my call, but.
Okay. This particular person, is this the person that also still to this day approaches you out in public at other events and tries to confront you in front of people?
Tells me I'm a failure in front of people?
Yeah.
Same person who laughed at my mom's funeral. Yeah. Yeah.
Laughed at your mom's funeral?
Yeah. Same person who said, aren't you glad she's gone?
Somebody probably needs to give her a free ketamine treatment. No.
But,
okay.
But here, my thing is like, it's like, this is so much bigger than all of us. Like, while my feelings and my emotions should matter as a person, they don't matter in the overall mission, because the mission is to help protect and address for other people and to advocate for other people. Katie's having a bad day because she's gained 10 pounds. It's like, who the heck cares? But I need you to come in. I need you to execute this mission. That's what I'm here to do, is to execute this mission. And when I have people that are pulling all directions, like, it's hard.
So what keeps you going every day? I mean, because you get attacked a lot. I mean, since I've been here, there's been various different things.
When I hit rock bottom, I had my own little spiritual session with God, I guess, to where I was, I felt like I was told I need to execute this, and that was my mission to do this. And you know what? People may think I'm crazy or not, but my thing is, like, if I had this conversation with somebody for like 4 hours and they told me this was my mission to do this, and there was going to be a group of people that come around me to help protect this mission, like, if I stop, then that's how I fail. If I don't stop and I've been told that the universe is going to protect what we're doing, then you know what? That's on them. If they want to come and attack me and I've been told like this is what you need to keep doing, then let them come. I mean, let them do whatever makes their heart rejoice for attacking people that are trying to lead a revolutionary mental health, pain, addiction company that's trying to advocate for the people who feel the weakest in their entire lives. If they want to bring me down, then you know what? You do your thing, boo. Like, if that's what makes you feel better in your chest, you do your thing. But here's the thing that they need to understand. Don't take silence as weakness. Because it's one thing I know I'm not as weak. And when I come to address something, I'm going to address it effectively because that's what you have to do. There's right, there's wrong, there's justice, there's injustice. But, there's a standard. So realize when you're out there, just peeing on everybody's bushes, thinking nobody's going to catch you on the cameras. It may feel good while you're peeing on everybody's bushes, but, people that are bigger than you know actually how the system works, and they're going to be professional about it, and they're going to address things because it needs to be done in order to keep the mission alive. So that's my thing that keeps me going, Angela, is knowing there's people out there who can't advocate for themselves, who are begging for help, and the system's not there to help them. Those are the people I'm doing this for. Not for myself, not for these other idiots who, keep trying to drag me down. But like I said, it's all good lessons. Now knowing what I did know then, I probably wouldn't have gotten myself in that. But as Jillian mentioned, I am learning empathy. So when these little entrepreneurs come up and they get in, they say, what situation I'm in? I'm not going to be like, oh, well, that happens to the most of us. It's more so hopefully I can help lead them into better decision-making processes too. So they don't do what I did.
Well, to kind of echo what we said the other day, and you're resilient. This is just another example. I don't know what we're going to talk about next time. It sounds like you had a list, so we'll talk about that. We'll keep going. We'll definitely keep going. Jillian, do you have anything to add to this?
No, I think we covered most of it. I mean, that was just all of that took place around this time, 2 years ago.
Yeah, I know.
Such a triggering time. Which I didn't mention. And this is something.
Oh, yes.
Jillian,
please mention that. Yeah. It's so sensitive.
But this is something Jillian, actually had a previous therapist. She's like, you're going to break one day. There's no way anybody can take this on. Like, you've got mental health issues. And I'm like, what? Like, I think I'm fine. So for therapists to sit there and keep telling you you're going to break because it's just too much. Like, sorry, but not broken yet. But thanks for telling me that I'm going to. But yeah, no, my daughter the other day, she's 14 now. She was telling me yesterday. She's like this year, Mom's going to probably be our first real Christmas in 2 years. And
how old is your daughter?
14.
14. Okay.
So I was like, what do you mean? She's like, well, 2 years ago, we didn't even have a Christmas tree. I was like, what? And I was like, you're right. I completely forgot about that. And I'm sure it was finance. I mean, literally, I had pennies in my bank account. I took every dime that I had to pay other people's payroll. I had no money. And I remember it was the day before Christmas. This is how bad it was then, too. It's the day before Christmas. I went out and bought my 12-year-old's Christmas gifts, whatever, for the next day. And it was just whatever I found at Target kind of thing, But that was 2 years ago. Last year was better. It was still a mess, but it was better. This year, I told her, I was like, actually, I went out, I have Christmas gifts 10 days before. That's what started it. is I have Christmas presents 10 days before
Yay.
Christmas. And she was like, this is going to be our first real Christmas in 2
That's
years.
so awesome.
Yeah. So, when these people come and, I don't know. I mean, like my daughter's the one who gets the golden star because she didn't ask for this, So, but we do. We have a Christmas tree. We have gifts. But yeah, people don't get it. They don't get it, and they don't know.
They don't.
Keyboard warriors.
Yeah.
They need to understand the damage they're doing behind that. Especially if you have a license as a healthcare provider, or if you're working in the mental health field. Please be careful with that. You have a lot of responsibility, a lot of people who trust you, and you're creating a lot of damage. And Jillian could probably speak to this, but like you got to have some reflection.
Yeah, you typically have to sign like codes of conduct within your licensure boards, and they highlight being neutral in the public space, and not like broadcasting certain political parties or personal beliefs. Like really, I know if you work for a big hospital system, you have to sign a big code of conduct that you have. What you do outside of work also represents the company. So there was a lot of that was missed. That mark was missed.
Sure, and here's the thing, too, Angela. Like when I'm silent on a lot of these things, like when that happened, Jillian went in and fixed it. When all that happened, like with payroll being missed and things like that, like Jillian went in and fixed all the potential abandonment issues.
I'm sure
I could have went to every board and reported every one of these people, and I chose not to because I understood they're people. That there's, you got to have grace for other people. They're trying to do the best they can, and it was just a mess, So we went in and fixed it all.
I see that in you. I see that in you even today with the certain situations that we face even now. And Jillian can probably speak to that when we have certain issues where you try to find the balance, even when we're like, why is she doing that? But you're like, well, and you try to be the grace in the situation when you don't have to be, but you're always finding the grace. So I can see that you doing that back then too. That makes sense to me.
Yeah. I always hope that everybody's doing the best they can do, even though if it's wrong. And that we're all growing, right? Because that's all I've done my whole life. I've done the best I can do, and I've learned. Best I can do, and I've learned. Best I can do, and I've learned. I've never had anything handed to me, and I've worked for it all. And so that's what I expect of other people. They're going to do the best they can do, and if you mess up, did you do the best you can do? Yes. Okay. Well, let's try to figure it out because you messed up. Let's try to grow from this, and that's my absolute honest opinion is that, I just hope that people come in doing the best that they can do and not manipulating the system. And if I see people are manipulating the system, because I've been around a lot of manipulators now, that's when I'll come down on people pretty hard, and rightfully so, because I do not want to be associated with that.
Great. Well, thank you for sharing that with us. I know that was a very painful time on both sides, but you've not shared your side, and I appreciate you doing that with us today. Next time, we'll reveal something more. I don't know what. I can't wait.
Yeah.
It'll be a couple of days, and we'll be back out with Katie at Walker Unfiltered, Truth and Transparency. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Angela. Thank you, Jillian.